Brother Kashakwala coming back at you with another lesson, giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Achakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. So this is going to be another installment of Let's Take a Look into it. And what we're going to take a look into is the burden of Moab, or what you could say, or you see on the title of this Isaiah 15 is the judgment on Moab. We're going to get just a few examples of why there's a judgment on Moab. You can get way deeper into this, but like I said, my Let's Look Into It installments are for thought provoking and for you to get deeper into it. And this is a foundation of where you can start. So without further ado, this is Isaiah chapter 15 and 1, and we're really going to just look at this primary verse here. Isaiah 15 and 1, it says, "The burden of Moab, because in the night Ar of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence, because in the night Kir of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence." Now, who are the Moabites today? Those are the so-called Chinese people. All right. So where does Moab come from? They come out of the loins of Lot. All right, because when you read about Lot, you know his wife passed at Sodom and Gomorrah because she looked back, and then he was left with two daughters, and his daughters got him under the influence and proceeded to take advantage of him to have children. So Moab and Ammon came out of that situation. All right, so it says the burden of Moab, because in the night Ar of Moab is laid waste. And what does laid waste mean? Destroyed. And brought to silence means destroyed as well. So, and brought to silence because in the night Kir of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence. So let's just get some precepts here to understand a little bit of what this is speaking about, because it does go back to little points in history of when certain things happen. Okay. All right. So we're gonna look at Ar of Moab, which, let's see, I want to say it's in Numbers 21. Excuse me. Numbers 21:27 says, "Wherefore they that speak in Proverbs say, Come into Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and prepared." Verse 28, the point, "For there is a fire gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It had consumed Ar of Moab in the lords of the places of Arnon." All right. Verse 29, "Woe to thee, Moab, thou art undone, O people of Chemosh. He hath given his sons that escaped and his daughters into captivity unto Sihon, king of the Amorites." Okay, so this was a burden of Moab. All right, this is part of the burden of Moab. Let's get another something about Moab here. And this is going to be blatantly why things are happening to Moab, are going to happen to Moab. 2 Kings 3 and 4, because history always continually repeats itself. And if I'm not mistaken, the Moabites and the Ammon, I think it was the Moabites, all nations had us, I said us meaning Israel, in some type of captivity or subjection. Moab had the shortest reign. I want to say it was about 18 years when Moab was ruling over Israel. Can only have these dummies rule over somebody for so long because they're functional retards. Okay, so this is 2 Kings chapter 3 and 4. And Mesha, king of Moab, was a shipmaster. Okay, and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with wool. But Salakia, it says but, and there's a saying, anything after but is not good. So it says, but it came to pass when Ahab was dead that the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. So these things have to come back and bite Moab in the butt. Okay. Matter of fact, I'll keep reading. It says, in the king Jehoram went out of Samaria the same time and numbered all Israel. Verse 7, and he went and sent to Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, saying, the king of Moab hath rebelled against me. Wilt thou go with me against Moab to battle? And he said, I will go up. I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. But pretty much you see what they're saying. Moab rebelled against Israel. So therefore, there's a burden upon Israel, okay? And their judgment is going to come. So we're just going to get one more thing here, all right? Because there's a whole chapter dedicated to the Moabites in their destruction. I think it's Jeremiah 48. All right, Jeremiah 48, literally the entire thing is about Moab. So I'm presenting this here. I'm presenting this here because I want y'all to go read this and then get into it and then understand Moab's pretty much destruction that's coming. So I'm gonna read Jeremiah 48 and 1, and I'm gonna skip that, through this 2 different points in this particular chapter. It says, Moab, against Moab, thus say the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, woe unto Nebo. Now Nebo or Nebo, Nebo is like a city. Also, when you look it up, it's like I want to say it was like a god as well, but in this, it's speaking about a city. All right, it says, for it is spoiled. Let me see. The Kiraithaim is confounded and taken. Misgab is confounded and dismayed. Now these are all cities. All right. So verse 4, I'm gonna skip down. It says, Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. Right. Have caused a cry to be heard. Now I know it said caused a cry to be heard. When you go back to Isaiah 15, start at verse 5, this will be pretty much a crying for Moab. Okay, so you can link this up with Jeremiah 48 and 4 on down. All right, so let's skip down some more. First I want to elaborate a little more on verse 4. It says, Moab is destroyed, her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. When anything is caused to be cries, what you call a lamentation, or they're lamenting, mourning. It usually would cause mourning, death and destruction, or war. Okay, and that's what's coming to Moab, these so-called Chinese people. So let's skip down to verse 20. It says, Moab is confounded, for it is broken down, howl and cry. Tell ye it in Arnon that Moab is spoiled, right? And that's what's coming to Moab in these times today, okay? They're going to be confounded. They're going to be broken down. And everyone's counting out the underdog, which are the true Israelites. But we're going to come up on top, and they're going to end up being tributaries under us, And I'm going to get one more precept to prove my point that I just made in Revelation. I told you this lesson wasn't going to be too long. Revelation chapter 20, Revelation chapter 2, verse 25, it says, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. Verse 26, and he that overcometh, and I did a lesson on, I did a lesson on Revelation 2 and 17, I want to say, when it speaks about the ones who have overcometh. Okay, I broke down who's the overcometh and what is the white stone, if y'all want to go back and watch that lesson. Okay, so when you read the scripts, once you come to the understanding of who's that overcometh, you can use your context clues and understanding that you receive to understand what Revelation 2 and 26 is saying now. So, continuing, it says, Revelation 2 and 26, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Right. The one nation that we're speaking about today in this lesson is Moab. All right, and we're looking into why there's a burden or a judgment upon Moab. All right, and of course we got a few historical events that happened in the book of Numbers and Second Kings of how Moab rebelled against the Israelites. So these these judgments are going to come down on you because you touched the apple of the Lord's eye. So continuing, it says, verse 27, and he shall rule them with the rod of iron. And who's that he? Because we know this book is speaking to and about the Israelites, so that he is an Israelite, okay? And also that he is Yahushai, just pretty much Israelites. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, all right? As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, correct? It's the same thing here. And when it says in verse 20, Moab is confounded, all right? They should be discomfited, you could say, all right? It says, even as I received of my father. There you go. So that's pretty much this. That's pretty much what's going to happen to Moab, and we're going to rule them with the rod of iron. But going back to really the point of the lesson, why Moab, has his judgment upon him. Here are two historical events that happened in the scripts of why Moab is getting judged, because they rebelled against the children of Israel. That's the main reason. And there are a plethora of other reasons why in the scripts with Moab and Ammon, why they're going to get theirs coming up soon here in this day. So Lord willing, this was edifying, and Lord willing to give you a starting point to look up why Moab will, ultimately be destroyed. Lord willing, I may do one on Ammon as well, since Moab and Ammon are related. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Achakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. Brother Kasha Kwala. Till the next time, I say shalom. And like always, repent, repent, repent. For Yahushai is coming sooner than what me and you believed. Shalom.